This is the Career Foundation's Future at Work podcast and web series with our host, 𝗧𝗍𝗶, as she explores critical topics affecting the workforce and workplace. Each episode, we focus on new and emerging trends across high-growth industries, including technology, sales and services, healthcare, finance, and the skilled trades. Visit us at www.careerfoundation.com to learn more.
Thank you, everyone, for joining the Career Foundation's Future at Work podcast and webinar series. Today, we'll be diving into the tech sector and exploring careers in cloud computing. And so for today, I am joined by none other than 𝗧𝗍𝗶 from Amazon Web Services. 𝗧𝗍𝗶, I'm so excited that you're here with me today. I'm looking forward to learning more about this career and new things that are emerging in the tech sector. And so our listeners will definitely benefit from hearing you. Thanks for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you very much for having me.
And so we've chatted a number of times in the past, but why don't we get started by, you sharing a little bit with our listeners about you?
Sure, absolutely. So I work for Amazon Web Services, as you mentioned, and I'm responsible for developing strategies and implementing programs that further public sector and economic development goals in Canada. And really, the role is broken down into two components. One is helping develop the future workforce, and the second part is helping, develop the existing workforce. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by that is really helping students get jobs and helping educators teach the content in their classroom that will help students get jobs. And then from an existing workforce perspective, making sure that they, understand how their roles will be changing in the future and the skills and competencies that they need to acquire so that they can continue delivering on their mandate.
That's fantastic. That's why you're here. We're on the same page, on the same journey. So let's get into it. So tell us, what is cloud computing?
Yes, so the definition of cloud computing is it refers to the on-demand delivery of IT services via the internet with a pay-as-you-go pricing model. So very similar to the way electricity works. You turn on electricity and you turn it off and you only pay for what you use. So cloud computing is a very similar model. But perhaps, let me take a few seconds to kind of help everybody understand, what cloud computing is, what Amazon Web Services in a different angle.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so Amazon, the large retail company, has, operations all across the globe, Amazon.in, Amazon.fr, Amazon.ca. And in order to facilitate this global operation, we've propped up technology centers all across the globe. In 2006, we, after years of using these technology centers for our own business lines, we decided that why not make this technology available to others? So in 2006, AWS was born. And so when you're using AWS services, you're actually using the same technology that Amazon uses to run its global operation. So it's really the technology arm of Amazon.
Mm. And you're a country unto yourself, the size of Amazon. So, it's easy to scale, really get a technology right before you scale it across the globe.
Exactly. And I think the key thing is that, that was the way that we were thinking. We were thinking, how do you put technology in the hands of everybody? How do you put leading edge technology in the hands of everybody? So, with cloud computing, Amazon Web Services, cloud computing, I use them interchangeably. With cloud computing, what happens is that, somebody who in the past wouldn't have been able to access, let's say, machine learning technology, can now access that machine learning technology because they'll only pay for what they use. Where in the old world, they'd have to buy this expensive software and licenses and et cetera.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Fantastic. So you are focused on getting the workforce, the current workforce and the future workforce aligned. for cloud computing. So what are some of the opportunities currently and the emerging ones that you see coming?
Yeah, so there's it's a very big field, right? The domain of cloud computing, and I have a list of roles here that that pertain to that particular domain. So, you have cloud support associate, web development, applications, software development engineers, DevOps engineers, data integration specialists, cybersecurity specialists, cloud support engineers, machine learning specialists, data scientists, solution architects. There's a wide variety of roles, whether it's a digital transformation role, and to be quite frank, nowadays, you even have business leaders, right? And a component of their job is understanding the cloud, understanding the possibilities with the cloud, so that they can make informed decisions and lead their teams accordingly.
And so they're not always tech people, right? And so people like me, growing up in a sector, but we really haven't evolved technology-wise. Sounds scary when we hear words like cloud and cybersecurity, really technical. So can someone like me or people without technical backgrounds work in this area?
Absolutely. And I think this is probably one of the biggest misconceptions, is that, the cloud is really for everybody. It's very important. You can work in this area. Of course, there are some skills and basic knowledge that you'll have to acquire, like what is the cloud, what are the benefits of it, which I can speak about shortly if you'd like. And I think the key thing is, as a leader, as a business leader, or somebody working even on the business side who doesn't touch technology all the time, to make your business decisions, you need to understand the capabilities of the technologies that you're working with or that your team is working with. You need to understand what are the possibilities to innovate with those technologies. What are the possibilities of creating new inventions for your customers? And I think that's where it's really important. Everybody needs to understand that whether you have a technical background, whether you're in a technical role, whether you have a business background, or whether you're in a business role, it's very important to have a good understanding of what the cloud is. There's 6 key benefits that I'd like to lay out for you. The first one is speed, right? So agility and speed. So for example, let's say you had an idea, okay, that you wanted to bring to reality. Let's say you wanted to create the next Lyft, as an example. Or the next Peloton, Peloton, the bike. So, you have an idea and you want to put it into, you want to make it a reality. So in the old world, you'd have to order all this technology, wait for it to be delivered to you. And only then would you be able to start, working with that technology and trying to invent. But with the cloud, you can actually provision and get access to these technology resources within a matter of minutes, if not seconds. Okay, and that's all through the internet. And then secondly, as I mentioned, from a cost perspective, you're not acquiring all this technology because you can buy it on a pay-as-you-go, as a like on demand, right? Pay-as-you-go type service. And then economies of scale. Think about, when you are using cloud computing, when you use the AWS cloud, you're really tapping into a very large infrastructure, and you get to benefit from economies of scale that Amazon would provide. And then from an elasticity perspective, which essentially means, let's say during the holiday season, your business may peak, right? Because there's more people looking for gifts for others. In that case, you don't have to worry about, let's say, your customers having a bad customer experience, because as more people are trying to access the technology that you've built or this invention, it automatically allocates the right amount of technology to it so that the customer experience is still positive. The fifth one I'd say is focusing on invention. A lot of, back in the day, a lot of people would focus on, getting their server set up, their computer set up, and the connections and all that. But with the cloud, you kind of leave all that to Amazon Web Services, and you get to really focus on innovation, right? On innovating. And then the global presence that we have from a cloud perspective. So cloud computing really allows you to offer your service all across the globe with a very good customer experience. So whether you're in the eastern part of the world or the western part of the world, your customers can get that very same experience.
Yeah, and so it's really enabling business development, business scaling, like
absolutely.
Right, yeah, and like you said, on demand, for both business developers and customers. So that's fantastic. I mean, I just recognize that I'm recording this webinar on the cloud, and so nothing scary about that, right? Fantastic. Okay, so tell us why AWS is doing so much. Right now, you have so many training programs around cloud computing, even AWS certification training.
Mhm.
Tell us what that is and why Amazon is committed to this kind of work.
Absolutely. I think there is a massive skills gap, right? I don't think we understand the significance of it. There's a huge skills gap. There's all these jobs out there, but there aren't enough people with the skill set to apply to them, to fill them. I know this from personal experience because, we have partners that we work with. Amazon, our own teams have difficulties hiring people because people don't have the skill set that we're looking for or that our partners are looking for. Just a stat over here that I'd like to read out. Only 35% of employers report feeling confident that new recruits are well prepared with hard technical skills and soft skills, such as complex problem solving and analytical reasoning. Businesses and academia are not collaborating as actively and effectively as they could be in preparing students for employment and reskilling individuals already in the workforce. So these are just a couple of quotes that I pulled off of Bloomberg Next, and it's a real issue, right? So we find it our duty to help fill and bridge this gap. So we are really encouraging others to pick up, to learn cloud skills, and we do that through various different means. So maybe I can walk you through some of the different means. Perfect. So at the student level, we've created a program called AWS Educate. And what we did was we took all the jobs that were out there and we divided them into different career pathways. And then students can pursue these career pathways, which are 20 to 50 hours of content, like curriculum and learning content, and really learn the essence of that particular career. So, students and this is available to students at no cost. We also have multiple certifications, as you mentioned. So we have, the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner, which is our base certification. We have the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate certification. We have the Certified Developer Associate certification. We have the AWS Certified SysOps Administrator Associate certification. And we have a Machine Learning certification as well. So we're really trying to bridge that gap and help individuals obtain, industry recognized certifications, help them obtain industry recognized education, so that they can help fill that jobs that skills gap that we have in Canada and all across the globe.
So that category, that second category that you just spoke to, the certifications.
Yes.
That is also free.
So there's a combination of both. There's a lot of free training that we offer on our website, and I think that's really important to note. And it's on-demand training, so you can really, view it, pause it, learn at your own pace. And there's also training which is a little bit. There's additional training when you want to specialize a little bit more. There's paid training options as well.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And is there a fee for getting the certificate?
There is a fee, and that varies per certificate, but you're looking at approximately a couple of $100 USD, American. Yeah. So it's not a whole lot, and the value that it brings is very significant. So it's never been an obstacle to somebody wanting to pursue a certification.
Yeah, when you and I were chatting, I think early in our meetings, you were telling me that once somebody has that certificate on their LinkedIn, for example, or their resumes, like, what happens? What have you seen happen?
Wow, I've seen it. It's a really big deal, like to the point where, people post it on their LinkedIn, they get a lot of visibility. A lot of recruiters are reaching out to these individuals because, the cloud is growing, right? I mean, if you think about it, and, especially in light of this pandemic, people are really starting to realize that, wow, you mean I can do everything virtually? And that's one of the biggest benefits of the cloud, right? So we're finding that more and more recruiters are looking for people with these certifications. I have just another stat here that I'd like to read out to you. Cloud computing ranked as a top skill on LinkedIn. 80% of enterprise ITs will move to the cloud by 2025. Right? So, I mean, these are pretty significant numbers that I'm reading out here. And here's another one. According to LinkedIn data, cloud computing was the #1 hard skill companies needed most in 2019. I mean, that's a phenomenal, that's a phenomenal
And that's
stat right there.
before COVID.
Right? Exactly. Exactly. So think about now. Now there's a lot more companies that are, we call them cloud natives that are really, in the cloud. And absolutely, this number would be, I mean, it already says #1 hard skill. You can't be any higher than #1, any better than #1, but the numbers will definitely go up, right?
Yeah.
The numbers of jobs, or number of job availability and number of people that recruiters are looking for.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you and I were talking about an opportunity for women and some of the partnerships you have for attracting women into the tech sector, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. So one of the things that we really like to do is collaborate with nonprofit organizations and really help bring value to their members. So what we've done is we've actually partnered with Women in Communication and in Technology, WCT, and we've been a part of their Student Connection program. And we've made, we've helped them bring and incorporate AWS Educate, which is a program available to students at no cost for their student membership. So, working really closely with them and various other nonprofit organizations. And, that's one of the things that we think is really important, is really, we have vehicles and tools that are in existence, right? And a lot of companies are actually looking for these very same tools or trying to build them. But why would you build them when they already exist? Yeah. So that's kind of what I try to share with them, is that we can incorporate what we've already built and spend time on into your particular initiatives or your programs.
Yeah. And just to help people understand, again, a little bit more about how COVID has accelerated the use of cloud. I mean, when you had to serve a room in your office, that no longer exists, right? It is in a virtual space.
Correct.
And that is what's enabling the entire globe to be working virtually, right? So the work for tech guys in an office previously is really now all about cybersecurity, making sure our financial data is right, our client data is protected and safe, right?
Correct.
So these are the opportunities that the cloud presents. And it's a good thing we have it, or else how could we have enabled remote work so quickly?
Absolutely. And you got it. That's bang on. Absolutely. If you look at, for example, let's take the Government of Canada as an example, right? That's a fairly large organization. A lot of people, most of them are working from home, and the cloud really enabled that. It allowed them to scale and to cope with all that volume, right? Of having everybody work from home. If it wasn't for the cloud, you just can't scale like that.
Yeah. And privacy is just another one, and we can go down that rabbit hole. And again, not just for tech guys, it's making informed business decisions, and how you do that in compliance with privacy, in compliance with all of the regulations that businesses have to follow. So really amazing opportunities.
Yeah, and just another thing to mention along that same note is that one of the other collaborations that we do a lot is with academic institutions. Not just because of AWS Educate and some of the other programs that we have, but we also work with academic institutions to help them build programs. So very recently, we worked with York University to help them build the first university level certificate in DevOps. Mm-hmm. Right. And so we do a lot of the sort of stuff we advise. Because at the end of the day, it's about helping people get jobs. We really want to make sure that curriculum that's being built and we're able to provide input into these programs so that we can, because we know what we're looking for when it comes to hiring people, and we're pretty sure a lot of other companies are looking for the same type of talent.
Yeah. Now, I know that a lot of what you've been talking about have been geared to students, but there's a number of training programs that are open to the general public.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that comes back to, you had mentioned some of the some of the free training that we have, right, available.
Yes.
And if you look at, and students is an interesting label, right? So I mean, anybody can become a student, right? but absolutely. So if you look at a lot of the free training that we have on our website, on the AWS training website, there's loads and loads of it. All different types of topics, and we always say that's the best starting point for somebody that wants to learn more about what the cloud is.
Yeah.
And it really allows them to kind of take the base level course and then branch off if they'd like to.
And so that's why I'm so excited that you're here today, because I'm happy to announce that the Career Foundation is going to be working with AWS to create greater access for job seekers to get into those kinds of trainings. We want our people to get ready for the future of work.
Wonderful.
And so we're going to be partnering with you and get people signed up to do that training. The free training is where we're going to start. If people continue to be interested and see the opportunities that exist, they will pursue other sorts of certifications. But we are so happy that we're going to be partnering with you. So thanks for your generosity around that.
You're welcome. Super happy as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So Career Foundation is going to be launching this information very soon. Check out our website and stay tuned for that release. Now, we're going to start wrapping up, having some great conversation here though. But, before you leave, can you share a little bit of career advice with our job seekers, people in mid-careers, for example? When we think about technology, we think about, highly educated folks, right? But our job seekers are oftentimes youth who haven't completed post-secondary education. Moms who have had a career break, mid-career workers, even mid-career tech workers, right? Mid-career workers who are thinking, oh my gosh, my job has changed so much, I might as well look at a second career. Give us some advice. What would you say to those folks?
I would say there's nothing to be afraid about. I would say, technology is everywhere all around you. You may already be using the cloud and you may not even be aware of it. So I think the key thing is to learn. There's a lot of different free resources, as we mentioned. And from a certification perspective, it's a different era that we live in. The value of a cloud certification, as I mentioned with the LinkedIn stat that I provided earlier, is very high. So the value of it is very high. So if you're mid-career, or let's say you don't have any formal education, that's not a problem. Look at the different certification options that you have on the AWS side, and that itself is enough. It has enough power so that you can share with others that you understand how to do this particular role. Continue to learn. There's lots of possibilities out there. Cloud branches into so many different roles. It's very important. I would encourage you all to do the base certification of cloud computing, which is a cloud practitioner certification, as that gives you the base knowledge. And I think that is a great place to start. So continue to learn. Don't be afraid, right? The possibilities are endless. And the roles vary now. And think about it. You may already be using the cloud, so you already know a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And technology is going to be the enabler of much of future careers, and so it is in our best interest to start taking our learning seriously and getting ourselves ready for the future of work, right? Well,
absolutely.
This has been fantastic, Fahd. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about the opportunities in the sector, and also for creating opportunities for people to learn and so they can prepare themselves for the future of work. So thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. Have a great day.
Absolutely. Well, listeners, if you want to know more about this exciting training opportunity, please check out thecareerfoundation.com. Don't forget to follow us on social media. And Fahd, again, it's been such a pleasure. Thank you. And thank you to all our listeners. Stay safe and be well.
Thanks for tuning in to the Career Foundation's Future at Work podcast and web series. To learn more about our workforce development initiatives, visit our website at www.careerfoundation.com and follow us on social media. To listen to our previous episodes, subscribe to the Future at Work podcast on iTunes or Spotify.